Hey, everybody. Captain Tommy Scoville, and you were on the lifeboat. I could only go out on a limb and say that I probably look really, really dark. And you're probably not getting an excellent look at my face. And I apologize for that. And I apologize for running a little late. For whatever reason, the Big Red Button and all of their associates, so Google and the Big Red Button, decided that I needed to sign back into the account with virtually every single thing that I have, literally like 6 different. And I'll be honest, people, I don't remember passcodes from 1 minute to the next, so I had to change them all and go in with all that. So that would be the reason that I arrived late, and I apologize for that. I really do. Today we're going to be talking about health, and that the fact that health is the key to so many things in life. I did not take down last night's live feed, and I'm not gonna. If you stuck with us on last night's live feed, toward the end of it, I talked about being really, really tired. I was almost falling asleep on the air, and said that I needed to get some sleep. The trouble is that that wasn't from lack of sleep. And I'll be honest, I'm not exactly sure what it was. I went today and I went to urgent care this morning and got some more stuff done, some more tests. And as I told you yesterday, I went to urgent care. I also told you that I went there and while I was there, they said they could fix my hand, but it would require stitches. Really odd, because I didn't go there for my hand or for stitches. I went there because the night before, I had an episode where my brain did the shutdown for a brief moment, and then it turned back on. And while it did that little turn off and then come back on thing, I ended up on the floor. And I hate doing videos like this. I don't like talking about myself if I can avoid it. I don't mind talking about myself in the past tense. I don't like talking about myself in the present tense if I can avoid it. But I've spent a decent amount of time talking to everybody in my family, and Heather Joy's been great. As soon as she called me last night and said, I think the trolls are going to have a good time with that video. And last night I said, yeah, you know what? I'm not too worried about it. I'm tired, whatever. And then I watched it today. I watched it about 45 times. And if you go back and watch it again, you're going to see some things that are definitely not tired. If you, I don't know how big a screen you guys watch it on, but if you watch it on a big enough screen, you're going to see the eyes do this number. And some of the other things that are just sort of frightening affectations of things that go on that are never good. When you get tired or you're been up too long or any of those, you get the head goes down and the head snaps back up. I was doing this one. I was like sort of a back and forth kiver kind of a thing. And in light of what had happened the previous night, I went up and got some tests. And the gentleman asked me what I was doing when it happened. And I said, well, oddly enough, I can show you. Not too many people probably have their episode on film, but I do. And we broadcast it up to a larger screen, and he watched the thing in on replay, watched it a couple of times, and he said, I can't diagnose anything by watching a video. He said, but it definitely looks suspect, especially with the eyes. My eyes track really well. When they're not tracking really well, there's usually something wrong. And I know that Johnny has a better perspective on this than most, because he's seen them when they're not in the tracking position. So he also made some recommendations. The sitting and staring into a ring this big, that's, I don't know how many lumens, but it literally if you were to look at the setup, the camera sits in the middle of it. So as I'm staring right there, I've got this this light, and there's a reason I can't watch movies, and I've talked about it 100 times, so I won't get into to talking about it again, because everybody's heard it. If you haven't, go watch any video, because it comes up a lot. But I think it's a very similar kind of thing. Thank you, Z. Thank you, Zen. I appreciate you. I really do. But I think some of the same reason that, films that kind of bombard, cause problems, would be the same reason that staring into a very bright light, and in the process, dotting back and forth, trying to read, trying to concentrate the whole time with this light in my face. Now, this is not going to make for great YouTube. It's probably not going to make for a lot of people that see that and go, boy, I'd like to listen to that channel, the one they film in the dark. I'm going to work on some ulterior ways to light this, so that I'm not staring directly into it. It's not going to be as effective or professional, but it will keep me being able to do this for a longer period of time. And I think that probably would be a good thing. And I need to work on health, and I'll tell you what we all do, right? That's no joke. If you're trying to get sober, and I talk about these things, and it just becomes rote. They're things that I repeat over and over again. You got to get some food into you when you first wake up, because if you don't, the brain doesn't get calories. And if you're not getting calories to the brain, then it doesn't work optimum, right? You're not going to get the best out of your brain. Now, you might think that's such a big deal. I'm not doing algebra or calculus first thing in the morning, so I'm not really tripped out if my brain's not really up to snuff. But the better question becomes decision making, right? Forget doing algebra, but making snap decisions or bad decisions. You're more likely to make a crappy decision when your brain doesn't have enough calories in there to keep it functioning the way that it's supposed to. Does that make sense? One of the other things is that everybody listening to the sound of my voice has had problems in their life with impulse control. By the way, there's enough sugar in the beverage I'm drinking. The day before when my blood sugar was really low, and they thought that may have been what caused me to have problems. So today my blood sugar was good. I'm making a point of trying to eat more. Apparently, skipping meals will drop your blood sugar in a really big way. And sometimes I get into the groove of things, and I will continue doing what I'm doing. Like if I'm working with somebody, or I'm in the middle of doing something, I'll keep doing it, and I'll keep doing it at the not taking care of other things. You know what I mean? Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, congratulations. Did you see that? Full of Hope says the divorce settled out of court. That's a beautiful thing, right? That means that now both her and Miss V are both done with guys that, well, I won't say anything negative about them on the lifeboat. I will leave that up to all of you in the comments section to say bad things about the both of them, and you should. But what I was saying is, if you don't get some calories to the brain, we end up making bad decisions. And everybody here has a history of making bad decisions. One of the problems with people who become addicted to any substance, and very often any behavior, right? Gambling, it's obviously not, it's an addiction, but it's not a substance. You can be addicted to sex. You can be addicted to all kinds of things that are just habitual as opposed to chemical. Regardless, one of the big driving forces is impulse control. And there's science behind this to beat the band. Because if you put somebody on one of those scans that show the brain, and you see this area that's just firing like crazy, and you see an area over here that's not working as hard as it's supposed to. And these are usually done in color. So when you see these scans, you see it's like fire. You see that area that looks like it is bright as hell and it's got some yellow around it. Well, that's good stuff. And if it looks blue or gray or silver and really laid back, that's bad, right? So for those of us who suffer with addiction, there is a healthy part of the brain, and by healthy I mean a decent sized part of the brain that normally would take care of things like impulse control, and we don't have that in spades, right? We have issues with impulse control, so impulsivity becomes a problem for addicts. So it's really important. This is not just filler. It's not just talk. And I'm talking to myself too. I skip meals more than anybody alive. I try not to, but I do. And a lot of it is with the best of intentions. When when I can get somebody on the phone to try to help them, you know how I feel about the window of opportunity. The window of opportunity stays open for a very brief period of time. And I've watched individuals on the lifeboat who have come to me for help, and we couldn't link up or whatever. And you get a hold of them the next day and you get the, yeah, I'm good. And you just know that window's shut, and that's okay, right? They open again. Unfortunately, if you do your drugs in pills or in powders or in anything, you're on the roulette wheel. And I know that a lot of you do deep dives. I know a lot of you start, going down the rabbit hole, doing research on the web. So you've probably seen an article about people in Tijuana, prisoners, who the cartels are using as guinea pigs to give fent. Uh, there's another article, if you continue to deep dive on that, there's another one where they show the homeless encampments of people waiting to try to get into the United States. And they have what's the equivalent of like an outdoor soup kitchen where they give, they come and try to take care of these people because, you leave with nothing but the shirt on your back, and then you might have to camp out for 2 months. So the humanitarian effort is obviously to get some food into these people, especially those with young kids. And the guy that was filming was showing them, and then right after they were done, a group of them would just go running over to like this big concrete wall that was near a roadway. And through a translator, he said, yeah, that's where they're going to go over and get free drugs. And, the guy asked him, they don't have to pay for this? No, this is where the cartels test what they're making. Trust and believe, people, that they're not testing this to make sure it is A1 healthy and we can send it across the border. If you believe that, you're naive. If that were the case, they'd be doing a much better job of keeping people alive. And simply put, they're not. They're not. So the impulsivity, breakfast, getting a little, some calories to the brain. We've talked about this so many times, but if you look at how small the brain is, if you were to do it by weight, it's almost funny. You got a guy that weighs 220 pounds and you probably have a quarter pound of it, being his brain, but it takes up the lion's share of all of the calories that you get every day has to go to the brain. So if you're skipping one meal or 2 meals, or God forbid, you're skipping 3 meals, you're not giving the brain anything that it needs for anything. And, that ball of that does considerably more than algebra. It does considerably more than impulse control. If I go like this, right, that all starts between the ears. Yeah, you got to engage muscles and you got to do all that, but everything we do starts up here. So we really start to fall apart if we're not making sure that, you get 3 meals. When I was incarcerated, I fasted once for it's either 7 or 8 days. I think was the longest I ever went. And you know that you're feeling it. When you get the 3rd or the 4th day with no food in there, you start having some very unusual thoughts, and you can just tell, even like the coordination, all kinds of things really start to change. I will never do that again. I think I've reached a point in my life where even if I like the idea of it for religious reasons or anything else, I'm working on some really outdated equipment. I'm not a young guy anymore, and the old gray matter, it ain't what it used to be. So I've kind of got to I'm going to have to make a much better effort to take care of my brain. The I don't abuse my body per se. I'm not going out. I'm not putting chemicals into it. There are no hangovers in my life, things like that. But I'm having a real issue with making sure I eat 3 meals a day. I started to exercise again, which is really big for me because the healthiest times in my life were the times that I was exercising. And when I had the stroke that one I bounced back from very quickly, the other I did not, and it took a very long time before I could even walk without the use of some equipment. So on that one, I was about 60 pounds overweight. That was about the heaviest I had ever been in my life, and I'm nowhere near that now. But since the lifeboat started, I'm probably 40 pounds up. And, I've talked about this with people in the past. They always go, yeah, you don't look it. That's because every single part of me just gets bigger, from my pinky, to my calves, to everything. I just get bigger. And it's not a good thing. It's not a good thing at all. The difference is I just don't get a beer belly, but even shoes don't fit right. Watch straps, everything. I get bigger all the way around. So I need to lose some weight. I'm aware of that. When my blood pressure is at its worst, it's always because I'm carrying extra weight. And, I preach these things, but if I don't start practicing what I preach, I could find myself in a bad way much sooner than later. And when you start getting up of a certain age, you kind of got to take care of yourself. One of the other things is one of the reasons I tend to blow things off is because, as I was saying earlier before I squirreled off in a different direction, the window of opportunity. I really feel invested in that. When that window of opportunity is open, I just don't. I can't bring myself to say to somebody, "Hey, you know what? Can we do this a little bit later?" Because there's not going to be a little bit later, or if it is, it's going to be 6 to 8 months down the road. And you figure, they're all right. They made it. How much damage can you do in 6 months? And I don't just mean to your body. I mean to absolutely every part of what you do. You know what I'm saying? Every part of what you do, you can abuse the hell out of yourself financially. Let me see something here. You know what? I guess theoretically it could be that I'm retaining water. I'll be really honest with you. I would say I'm probably retaining a lot of bread. There was a period of my life for about 6.5 years where I think I had one, maybe 2 slices of bread in 6.5 years. And I mean, no cake, nothing like that. I wanted to be really healthy. And it was a driving focus of mine. And I didn't have a ton of outside stimulus. I had a group of people that came to a class that I taught about sobriety. And we did it often. It was usually every day. But if somebody was having a bad time, they could talk to me one-on-one. And very often they were either in my unit so I could work with them, or they were in another one and I couldn't worry about it. No one's going to call me from a different unit. Hey, can you come over here? I'm kind of having a bad time. If you get the guys to let you out of your cell, this would be convenient. There were the simplicity of prison. I hated it. And make no mistake, I hated it. I'm not hearkening back to the good old days or anything even remotely like that. But the simplicity of it is much easier on the brain. It really is. There is just so little going on. And as we've said so many times, your brain likes the lowest common denominator. Your brain doesn't want to work, right? Doesn't like change. You start doing something drastically different than what you normally do, the brain goes, no, not having it. Does everything it can do to shut you down. That's why so many of us here on the boat have told stories of, you know what, I was doing great. I had a good job and, I got a raise. And the day I got the raise, I just went out and destroyed my entire life. I decided, I could buy a bag. I haven't done anything stupid in a really long time. I was going to get one bag. And then the wheels come off. And the next thing you know, you're in handcuffs. That's a story that happens, time and time again, every single day. It's the fear of success. And you say, why would anybody fear success? It's not that they fear success. They fear change. They may not be able to articulate that because they may not even know it. But that's really what it boils down to. Again, I tell this often because it is the best illustration in the world. It is the best proof for exactly what I'm talking about. Watch somebody who gambles. You watch somebody who gambles. We've had, since the lifeboat started, we've had only 2 people that, well, I mean, we may have way more than that. I have had 2 people that reached out to me whose problem was gambling. And it's the exact same. There's nothing different. There really isn't. There's nothing different. Not in how you talk to them. Obviously, the symptoms are slightly different. You know what I mean? No one's, you're not hiding drugs in your shoe. You're hiding receipts from ATMs in your shoe. Or you're hiding, you hit a jackpot and they give you that tax thing and you're crumpling that up so that your partner doesn't see it. But one of those things that happens to every one of those people, whether they win 10 grand or whether they win 100 grand, it doesn't matter. Because you see, for so long, what they're used to is going in with $300 and losing it all. And that feeling of walking out and cursing yourself and feeling like a loser. And that's what they're addicted to. That feeling is baseline. So if they start getting up from that, they see the payout. He stands up, starts high-fiving people, just won 20 grand. Look at this, 20 grand. Cash it out, go home. They can't do it. They can't do it. This machine's hot. This machine's hot, man. I'm serious. I guarantee you it's got one more in it. And you just look at them and you go, oh, no, come on, man. Come on, step away from the machine. You got $20,000, man. Go home. Every once in a while, one of those people will leave with 5 grand. But for the most part, they're going to give it all back. Every single bit of it. They need to get back to that baseline. Now, you want 100 grand and you give back 75, you probably feel enough like an idiot that your brain will level out. Make no mistake. When you wake up the next day and you got 25 grand in your pocket, guess where you're going? Guess where you're going? You're going right back to the casino. You're going right back to the casino. My brother Johnny and I knew a girl, Jumpin' Judy. And Judy used to play 4-card Keno. If you've never been to Vegas or a gambling town, it's a lottery. That's all it is. It's a lottery. It's got like 80 numbers on it. So there's 40 numbers up top and 40 numbers on the bottom. And you can place spots on the numbers just like you would on a lottery, except it's instant, like this, one right after the other. And there's one where you can play 4 different cards on each spin. She won $80,000 over the course of a day. And it wasn't one jackpot. She started playing on a penny machine and she worked her way up until she was doing about $10 or $15 on each game. But after she got over 80,000, 80 and some change, she left in a limousine from the casino. They said, no, don't worry about it. We'll drop you off at the house. And if you want to come back, we will go and pick you up and bring you back here. They don't want you getting out of there with all that money. That's the last thing they want. So they told her that, we'll bring you back over. And she said she wasn't planning on giving any of that back. She went to a used car lot and she bought a dream car. It's a 1970s Corvette. And I don't think it was 2 weeks before she was selling that Corvette for less money than she bought it for. She took that limo ride back up there, left her new to her, not brand new, but her new to her Corvette in the driveway and just went back up to turn that fortune into more. And I think she was more comfortable when it was all gone. They sit and lament about it and they go, oh man, that sucks. Can't believe I did that. That's so stupid. What am I thinking? Thinking that you don't have a choice. That's where your baseline is. It's where the level of comfort is in your brain. It doesn't want change. So how do you do it? You got to make success a habit. You got to make success a habit. So you start with successes that are this big. Set goals that anybody in the world can achieve. Anybody. I'm going to clean my room up. I'm not going to have shirts on the floor. I'm not going to have papers that are out of whack. I'm not going to have books stacked up all over the place. I'm just going to attack my room. That's all I'm going to do. Baby steps. I'm just going to get that room clean. And when you have, and you look around, there's that brief moment of satisfaction. Now, it's not enough success to make you want to go trash it, but it's a dose. It tells the brain, I set a goal, I did it. There you go. Little shot of dopamine, start feeling good about yourself. Set another goal. Start making your bed every day. Start making a goal that you never is anyone going to walk into your house ever and see dishes in the sink. It's just not going to happen. No one is ever going to get into your car and see an empty bag of McDonald's on the floor. I was married to a gambler when I was in the military. When I left the military, I left her sitting in Berlin, Germany. The saddest thing about that addiction is that so very often, unlike drugs do something to the brain that is a little bit different than what the gambler gets. And the people that I've met just seem like you can't picture these people having a habit. You know what I mean? Like everything in life just seems sort of normal. Whereas with people on chemicals, it's usually pretty obvious. There's some symptoms that, you look at them and you've got all of the physical effects that we always seem to think about when we think about drugs. Oh man, you should have seen his eyes. Yellowed out. They looked horrible. You know what I mean? Or lost a lot of teeth. The grill was missing. He just has those really red things, kind of look like one of the Kennedys. But seriously, that Ted Kennedy look where just sort of red through the cheeks and the nose, like maybe they just had a couple of drinks. The gambler doesn't have any of that. Their addiction is the same chemicals, but they pay for it one flip at a time. One flip at a time. And it's that not knowing what your fate is, right? For the 10 seconds that it takes for the balls to drop, right? Or for the 40 seconds that the cards need to go around. It's just enough of a period of time. And that through that whole time, there's hope. And if you lose, the hope's right back. It's instantly. It's the same principle. It really is. It's the same principle. And works on the same part of the brain. But yeah, it's just a matter of change. Our brains don't want change. So if you set goals, you say, all right, I want to lose 50 pounds. That's a daunting amount of weight. It's almost overwhelming. But if you said, I don't want 1 week to go by this entire year that I do not shave a minimum of a pound off every single week. I'm just going to not eat any more bread, or you come up with a way of how you're going to do it. What do you want? Why do you want it? What are you willing to do to get it? I'd like to lose 50 pounds. And that's going to be 1 pound a week for 52 weeks. So you know what I'm going to do? No more bread. So I eat a ton of bread. I'm just going to cut bread out of my life. And each day you get to the end of the day and you didn't eat any bread, it's a victory. It's your brain getting used to the fact that you set a goal and you did it. You start training your brain for the fact that you follow through. You train your brain to the fact that you can handle a change if that change is success. I'm cool with it as long as we're talking about success. Small baby steps of success until you get to the point where you're setting some really, really big goals. A coronation quiche. I'm not exactly sure what that is. But she did say without fava beans, you talk about changing the entire culture. It's almost impossible to say fava beans without going, I don't know. It's just one of those movies that really kind of left the mark. Like a no road noise truck that makes me want to drive off a cliff when on the freeway. Like no more road noise. Okay. I was married to a recovered gambler till he lost my 50,000 day trading. Day trading was the day trading legitimized gambling for gambling addicts. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to a casino. I'm not that person. I would never do that. What are you doing? Trading the stocks, day trading, with a lot more money on the line normally than they were ever putting in at a casino, which is pretty wild. But it's the same thing. The only difference is it would be a lot more difficult to cheat a casino than it would be to cheat a stock. I promise you. Stocks, there are people cheating on that every single day. You cheat at a casino, you get caught. So we're going to have to obviously walk you through that so that Charlie probably, I'm not really good with any of those computer things either, people. I'm really not. So that's eating, right? That's eating. You got to take care of yourself. I would say exercise is another huge one. I was doing some yoga, I was doing some push-ups, and I just started blowing it off. And it was so easy to fall back into I'm not doing it. I don't have time for that. We're used to it. We're used to blowing things off. I got to get back, and I got to set a smaller goal. I should be smarter. I ought to know better. But I went from I'm not working out to, well, I'm going to put in an hour a day. There's no way I was going to pull off an hour a day. So I got frustrated and just quit. So I'm going back to just what worked for me in the beginning, the absolute basics, and what made me happy and could probably do wonders for my mind at the same time. I'm just going to start walking. I'm going to go out and do my 20 minutes every day. And when that feels like it's just a breeze and it doesn't bother me, I'm going to bump it up 5 minutes. And then I'm going to bump it up 5 minutes. And right around the time I leave this state and go somewhere where walking for 25 minutes will probably make you look like a piece of beef jerky, I will take up a new way of working out. Maybe some swimming or something. Charles McClellan says you need to care. I will be honest, and I'm not trying to sound like Mother Teresa. I'm not trying to sound like I should get a pat on the back or anything else, but it is easy to become so vested in how other people are doing and trying to help other people in their life to the point where you don't help yourself. And you give up things like eating and sleeping and, all of the things that you have to do in order to be Zen, in order to be the best you can be. So I'm going to have to get back to the basics where if I don't put the mask over my face before I put it over somebody else's, I'm probably not going to be worth anything. I represent that walking beef jerky comment. Yeah, well, you've been there a long time. It wouldn't surprise me. But I really do have to get back to the basics. And taking care of myself is one of them. I have neglected my health, and it may not be. You may go back and watch it and not think it's a big deal. It may just look like I'm tired. It's not a healthy thing for me. It really wasn't, and that was that frightened me. What gets bad is when you think you are able to control the outcome. I had to focus. Someone distracted me. I couldn't make the machine do my bidding. Dun, dun, dun. Just say no fairy tale philosophy. SMH. You know what? I know what that means, but I have no idea what that means. I mean, I know I should. I know I've typed into Google, what is SMH? And I've probably done it 25 times, which just is amazing to me because I once had a memory where nothing like that would happen. And now it's just gone. And that's all it is. It's just gone. So SMH. Yeah, I got nothing. I know it's obvious. Shaking my head. Mr. Wolf, thank you. Good to see you, Mr. Wolf. Good to see you. So I'm going to, yeah, thanks, Leisure. I'm going to work diligently on coming up with a different method of lighting this up. You know, I'm not going to be able to use that ring light. I'm just not. It's that's got to come to an end. And you know, or I'm going to sit there with the glasses on like the Terminator and look like an idiot. So I'm just going to have to find a better way to light this up. And tomorrow is the 4th. People, get your calendars clear for the 5th. I will be doing an interview on Cinco de Mayo. I'd been talking with this person for a long time about this. Yeah, he says, I cannot believe how bright that was when I was there. It was blinding. It really is, isn't it? And yeah, it has like, 3 different settings. And you would think one of them would be like the Goldilocks setting, where it's exactly what you want. And simply put, that's not the case. It's not the case at all. It's either blinding you, it's damn near blinding you, or it does absolutely nothing. You shouldn't even have it on. Guacamole, welcome. The Austin Powers scene with moly, moly, moly. I can watch that thing about 5 or 6 times a day, and it would just make me laugh just as hard every single time I watch it. There's an ancient sea salt mine about 25 miles from my house. Do you know what? I know that salt. I know that salt. So does my brother if he thinks about it. If he thinks about it. GVM had a salt. Miracle whatever. And it was we were getting that out of Utah. It's got to be the same thing. You should probably go get some sleep. The stupid question guy. Well, there's an unusual handle. Welcome, stupid question guy. We're glad that you're here. Doesn't that kind of fly in the face of what everybody says about questions? Redmond salt. There was a time I would have probably remembered if that is correct or not, but it's yeah, see? Johnny knows what I'm talking about. Yeah. Well played. Well played, Leisure. Health is the most important of all. You know what? It's not a cliche. If you don't have your health, then nothing else really matters. It's so difficult to get yourself it's so difficult to get yourself fired up for anything. It's hard to get excited. It's hard to do anything if in the back of your mind you're concerned. You know what? I wouldn't pat me too hard on the back. Looking Glass. I'm talking about doing it, but I haven't done it yet. But you're right. It needs to happen. It really does. Yeah, that's a stupid question, guy. I like it. At some point, I'll probably have to come up with an abbreviation or a nickname. Because if I talk to you 3 or 4 times, the whole show will be over. Which is amazing in and of itself. She says, I raised 3 teenage girls. God bless you. God bless you. Cindy Pardee also uses Redmond salt. Oh, you know what? When I was growing up, my mother used to do canning. She canned everything. My memory of summers in Vermont. My mom would just I don't remember a day where she wasn't either canning something or getting something ready to can. And you just sort of took it for granted when you were younger that that's just something that everybody did. It was kind of like, yeah, corn, peas, tomato sauce, applesauce. It is prudent. It saves a ton of money, and you're not getting God knows what, right? You're not getting all of the stuff that they just put into things. It could really bum you out. So if you're not a person that wants to see things like this, then I would just go ahead and avoid it altogether. But if you want to do a little deep dive, you can read what are the cutoff amounts of certain things that can fall into food and not have it be a problem. And when you just see the things that can fall into food and they can still sell it, providing it's not too much, you would just go, no, come on, you got to be kidding. There should not be an acceptable amount of rat droppings in anything. Like that ought to be that should be a problem. I don't think that anything is acceptable that way. I bottle everything. Says, you know what? Honestly, I think it's a beautiful thing, and I don't think that people do it enough. I really wholeheartedly believe that we were just blessed to hell. Growing up where we did. It wasn't like my mom was going to a grocery store to get this stuff. We had a friend named Dwayne who he had a huge garden and he grew everything. And every single time we would go to see him, he would just give my mom bags and bags of stuff. And then there was a guy down the street, and maybe we'll see if Johnny can remember his name, but right on the corner where you went from my town to the next town, he had a little place up the hill, and you just drove to his house. This wasn't a store, it wasn't a business. You just pulled up at his house and told him what you wanted. He'd always have the stuff in the barn ready to roll. And the entire time I lived in that state, I never saw the man with shoes on. Truthfully, not ever. Never once saw the man with shoes on. All right, we'll see if you pull it off. And you know what, peeps? This video is going to be cut a few minutes short, and I will tell you why. Because while I have been sitting out here, the temperature has dropped about, when that sun went away, Mr. Harvey, wow, I would have bet money that he wasn't going to get that. Well played. Yeah, Mr. Harvey. Never put on shoes. I don't know that he had any. Yep. He shoots, he scores. They're real. I'm telling you, they're. If everybody still did that, this would be a much better country. It really would. It'd be a much better world. He says that was the cannibal sick after eating his mother-in-law. She didn't agree with him. That's funny. You know what? The I really am blown away. The people that I have watched over the course of my life who grew up, in very different, some grew up really, really wealthy. Some grew up sort of middle class. Some grew up really, really hurting. And the people that I look back on, I really do not want to say these people's names on the air without anybody's permission. But I got a friend we called Lurch, and this was a guy that really, really had it tough growing up. Really had it tough. His mom was something else. She didn't make a lot of money, but she always made sure that the boys looked good. Like they always had, nice clothes. But I remember going to their house and there was literally holes in the wall to the outside. But He has made himself into such a successful human being. And I had another friend named Mike, and he lived in a trailer. And when you opened the front door, the first time I walked in, I stepped on a rug and fell completely through the floor, right? And was like, up to here. I just looked at him and went, "The hell is that?" He goes, "Yeah, you're supposed to step over the rug." And I thought, wow, that's I probably would have put a board over it, but that's one way to figure it out. I went to that trailer two or three times a week for probably 4 years of my life, and I never once saw a parent home. I never saw his mom once in all of the time that he was there. So he would get himself up in the morning. He would make sure that he was fed, and he would find a way to get to school, hitchhiking, whatever, every single day. And I remember my sister once came home and she said, "I just picked up Mike, and he was weeping. He's crying." I said, "Is he all right? What was he crying about?" He was crying because he got a B- in gym class, which kept him off the high honor roll. He went to school on a full scholarship and is now an attorney. An attorney. He also was a coach, a freestyle coach for the program that the both of us used to ski in. Like everything else in life, it's the 5 and it's the 95. There is 5% of of the time we spend on this planet that we have absolutely no control over. That's the 5% of our life we have no control over. The other 95% is ours. It's ours to do with what we want. If you're born into that situation, that's 5%. There's not much you can do about it. How you react to that? Like Mike sat down and just thought, "I'm not going to live like this when I grow up. It's not going to happen. So if education's the way out of here, I'm going to kick it. Education is going to be the most important thing in the world to me. Nobody's going to pay for my college, so I better get a scholarship." And he did. And he worked while he was in college and then went to law school. And by the way, did unbelievable amounts of drugs the entire time. It never made any sense to me. But he was one of those people that didn't have that habit gene. He hung out with all of us. We all did the same thing every night. Bo was there every single night, Mikey Bo. But when it came time to put it down, he just put it down. Very different brain than mine, apparently. Aren't the yes, I was always under the assumption that all of Ireland are potatoes. Like if you're just walking around, you're liable to stub your toe on one. I know that they're very big in the production of spuds. T. Prada says, "I love that." Let's see, what was the exact? She said, "Potatoes are so easy to grow in Ireland here. You could throw them in the yard and they would just do their thing." It's got, I guess, it's the perfect soil for bratwurst. We're really going to start doing the food thing. It's about the perfect time though, because I'm going to be going to eat. Although I'm on a diet, I'm changing my eating habits, and it's starting immediately. I don't want my brain giving out any faster than it's supposed to, and God forbid I do it on while I'm filming it. We have spuds as a side to our spuds and dessert. You guessed it, spuds. Yeah, they're. It's like that scene from Forrest Gump. Just go down the whole list, of you got potatoes au gratin, you got potato hash browns. Probably do that for the next 2 or 3 weeks. That was an after joke. Charles, excellent reference. Spam. You know what? For any of you who somehow through the course of life have missed the opportunity to watch Monty Python, please wear sunscreen, drink more water, and for the love of everything good, start watching Monty Python. That went by so quickly. Franklin, great to see you, man. Thank you so much, Franklin. I appreciate you. I really do. Monty rocks. Yeah, I'm a big fan. I tried sniffing Coke once, but the ice cubes got stuck in my nose. That's because your nose isn't as big as mine. Drinking water all day is a good thing. Are you all aware of how popular spam is in Hawaii? For real? Um, Spam is to Hawaii what spuds are to Ireland. That's from what I hear. Yep, another great reference to the dead parrot. Mark says, seen Monty Python many times. I hope Johnny was here because he's a big fan of that too. Bring out your dead. I'll be really, if I had to go to my go-to, like growing up, you get older and you kind of take some things for granted and you look back at some of the things you thought were really, really funny. So you seen that, Johnny? Uh, so some things that you thought were really, really funny, and maybe they aren't as you get a little bit older. But Mr. Creosote, the scene from Meaning of Life, that's one of those things that, it puts me on the floor. I used to fall down laughing. And once we are the knights who say, "Yee! Run away, run away." Yeah, you know what? I wish we could have a Monty Python night. I really do. The problem is we will get a strike of some kind, and I really don't want that. But boy, would I love monk, 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 monk. It's just a flesh wound. Tis but a flesh wound. No, it's not. Your arm's cut off. No, it's not. Yeah. Well, that whole all of that humor is it's just a bunny rabbit. Benny Hill. Oh, do not get me started on Benny Hill. My brother and I could spend the next 2 hours talking about Benny Hill. That is too funny. Your bloody arm is gone. Get back here. I'll bite you. You know what, V? That's a great idea. We have the lifeboat and the bus gathering. We'll just do one Monty Python film after another. It would be the Sober Pepper Eating Monty Python Festival. Who would not go to that? Are you kidding? The Holy Hand Grenade, right? Bring out the Holy Hand Grenade. That's exactly right. Johnny says every time I see Biden talk, in my head I hear the Benny Hill theme song. I used to like it when he would slap the little old guy on his forehead. Always used to make me laughing. Yep, absolutely. I know there's a way YouTubers do member movie night, somehow using Discord. Okay, if you can figure that out, I will make that happen. I am not a bright man, but if you can tell me, like I can follow a map, I can do step 1, step 2, but this thing scares the hell out of me. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not a smart man. Everybody fears the Spanish Inquisition, and nobody expects them. Never see them coming. All right, people. I knew the bald guy that got his head slapped. You're kidding. Loved that. Loved it. Like every day as if it was your last. That's right. That's what it says on Benny Hill's tombstone. I think I absolutely could end on that. It's a beautiful sentiment on Benny Hill's gravestone. It says, live every day as if it's your last. And someday you'll be right. And what do you know? He was. All right, stop doing that. What are you doing here? What are you doing here? All right, people. Someone will be here tomorrow morning. I'll be honest, I'm not sure who it is, but I will get that figured out. And we're here on the fives, almost 365 days a year. Every once in a while, things happen, But I'm going to start eating better. I'm going to start trying to get a lot more sleep, people. I gotta start treating myself better. I really do, because it's I will be burning the candle at two ends and sometimes three, and I don't want to. I'd hate to stroke out on the air. You know what I mean? That wouldn't be a good thing. So, thank you to everybody, for coming here and for everyone with your generosity. I really appreciate people. I really do. You guys are the best. I am Captain Tommy Scoville, and this is the Lifeboat. Glad I could catch the end. I'll catch the replay. All right, Monk. Excellent. I would expect nothing less. Awakened by the Looking Glass. If I'm not mistaken, you owe me an email. I need to talk to you about something. So please reach out to me. We had some unfinished stuff I needed to take care of today. So please, if you heard that, reach out to me. Just send me a messenger or something, or an email. All right, people. Between now and then, reach out and try to save somebody. God bless.